Hi everyone. I am Mela and I am presenting off-the-shelf digital tools as a resource to nurture the commons, a paper that I co-authored with Raul Masu, Nicolai Hansen and Maurizio Teli. The content of this paper is based on the reflective account that accompanied a participatory design project that I carried on in collaboration with a group of artists activists in a small Portuguese island. The paper proposes that off-the-shelf digital commons can be used in the context of participatory design to support commoning practices. In our experience, focusing on tools that are already available allows directing resources on participation rather than software development. This possibility is particularly valuable in context with limited resources like the one where I was operating in. Additionally, relying on already existing tools potentially fosters the sustainability of results when researchers leave the field and contribute to spreading the knowledge that digital commons are a valuable alternative to market-based options. To practically implement a participatory design project relying on the use of already existing digital commons, finding and then selecting the tools is a crucial step. Throughout the research process, we had to face an array of questions. The most complex one has been how do we understand whether an off-the-shelf tool can be considered a commons or not? However, finding a sort of answer to this question was not resolutive, as there were plenty of more mundane issues to solve. For example, where do we find digital commons? How do we select them? Or should we present multiple alternatives to people, for example? In this paper, we try to tackle these questions by proposing both theoretical consideration and practical criteria. Before introducing the core contribution of the paper, we would like to briefly introduce the overall participatory design process. Our research was held in Madeira, a 250,000 inhabitants European island, which is considered an outermost region. We collaborated with Equilibrio, an informal group born in 2019, to connect people interested in developing artistic projects with ecological and social goals. We chose this group because of his tendency to organize horizontally rather than following hierarchical structures. We presented ourselves as researchers and activists that investigate processes to spread digital commoning. Our project aimed to support participants in adopting digital tools that are better connected to their interests and values. We articulated this aim in a three-phase project that has been extensively described in a paper presented at the DAS in 2021. And this image here, graphically represents the project. We highlight the three-phase in blue, while in orange you can observe the time dedicated to understanding, finding, and selecting digital commons. In the first phase, we organized face-to-face activities as well as online activities to collect information on the digital and non-digital artifacts currently in use by participants. Moreover, we asked them to connect these artifacts to their interests and values. In phase 2, we analyzed the information gathered during the first phase to select off-the-shelf digital commons that could support participant interests while adhering to their overall values. In phase 3, we organized a face-to-face workshop to propose the adoption of digital commons that we had selected. Each one has been presented highlighting the reason that led us to pick it in relation to specific interests and values of the group. After discussing the tools with the participants, we invited them to download and install the Digital Commons. The discussion and technical support on Digital Commons continued in a dedicated Telegram chat. And moreover, we supported the group in finding technical solutions to organize their artistic project. From this image, it is immediately visible that interrogating over off-the-shelf Digital Commons, looking for them, and finally selecting the ones to present to participants has been a central activity which accompanied the whole process. In the empirical part of our research, we repeatedly faces the question, can we consider these artifacts a common or not? We discovered that the answer is oftentimes not a neat yes or no. The answer is usually, it depends, as many digital artifacts support commoning from different perspectives and with different intensity. In the attempt to unpack how digital tools embed commoning practice, we created the Commons Gradient. The Commons Gradient here allowed to graphically summarize the reflection on one specific digital tool by positioning it on 4 continuums: commons in and through design, environmental sustainability, and anti-monopolism. The most important component is the commoning in and through design continuum. This distinction aims at considering at the same time two general tendencies in the discourse on digital commons. Commoning in design refers to those tools that are created and managed as common, such as free, libre, and open source software. So this side of the chart mirrors the reflection on flaws and wikis proposed by Benkler. Commoning through design refers to those situations where digital tools are used to support commoning practices, such as in the case, for example, of a supply-led carpooling platform. This side of the chart reflects more the commoning practice discourse developed by Bollier. A specific tool can entail both commoning in and through design, or just one of them. For example, LibreOffice is an example of floss and user commons in design, but its use does not necessarily imply further commoning practice. As a matter of fact, a LibreOffice spreadsheet could be used to organize data to support alt-right movements or to organize other kind of not that nice stuff. On the opposite side, supply-led carpooling platforms like BlaBlaCar is specifically designed to support commoning practice among its users, but it's a for-profit company that does not share its code. We also identified 2 additional issues that are part of the overall discourse on digital commons: contrasting monopolies and supporting environmental sustainability. We introduced anti-monopolism because the domain of few monopolistic actors over the digital space is in direct contrast to the ideals of commoning. Considering that platforms have a natural tendency toward monopolization, we support that the simple act of shifting toward less established alternative is a small anti-monopolistic choice per se, as it supports the existence of a plurality of players. Taking this perspective to the very extreme, choosing Yahoo instead of Gmail would be a small step in the right direction, because both actors aim at establishing a monopoly. However, Yahoo is not likely to succeed anytime soon. We introduced the environment, as this issue is traditionally important in the debate of commons. Additionally, the environmental impact of digital activities is becoming more and more debated, both in terms of cost and in terms of opportunities. Academic debate on digital commons and FLOSS activism are increasingly engaging with topic and highlighting the potential of digital commons to support environmental sustainability, for example, as a way to prolong hardware life. Reflecting on these issues, we discover that a tool can be a commons from one perspective, but not from the other one. This means that the commons gradient can help to unpack multiple relevant aspects and multiple layers. Additionally, if we are working with people, we always need to consider which tools are already in use. In some cases, even proposing tools that are not perfect commons can contribute to take a step in the right direction. Reflecting on these elements allows locating an off-the-shelf digital tool in the common gradient, unpacking multiple relevant aspects. This is particularly useful if we are engaging with PD practice, which requires a lot of flexibility to meet the participant needs. In this specific context, we support that being a commons is not much of an ontological quality, but it is a relational property depending on the context. For example, if we are working with a group of people relying exclusively on Google services pre-installed on their Android phones, even proposing slightly better tools can constitute a step in the right direction. The commons gradients also allows to visualize in the same diagram different tools, like here you can see, facilitating the comparison. For example, here the chart is populated with different instant messaging apps that we considered in the context of our research. And you can also see that in some cases we didn't have enough information to populate the chart. Populating a chart with multiple tools can be helpful if we need to select one among many tools, and it's particularly useful if the difference among them are subtle and there are small differences. As anticipated, dedicated time to understand whether a tool can be considered a commons is necessary. However, it was not the only issues we encountered. In fact, during the project, we faced multiple mundane questions such as where to find off-the-shelf commons, or whether it was a good idea proposing multiple tools that perform the same function to keep the conversation as open as possible. We summarized the main question we encountered in this table here. It's the right direction. In this table, and this table is extensively discussed in the second part of the paper. Some of these questions may appear quite trivial, but in our experience, they were all fundamental to be able to present viable solutions to our participants. Additionally, the paper presents a list of repositories that we found extremely useful to find digital tool to present to participants. The commons gradients, as well as the other reflection proposed in this paper, do not aim to propose a definitive taxonomy on digital commons. Rather, we hope it can serve as a tool to bridge between theoretical models and practical projects. As such, our proposal should be intended as flexible, and we hope it can be adapted to other practical scenarios. For now, it's all. Thank you for your attention, and bye-bye.